Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Shero IG Live Sessions. I am one of your co-founders, Danielle, and we are here today for another amazing talk. Got a lot of special things for you today. Meek in. Hello, hello.
Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Good evening for my people on GMT time. Good evening. It is 8 p.m. where I
That's
am.
right. We
And we are back
global.
in the session. I miss the lives. I miss the lives. So good to see your smiling face on here, sister.
Sure. So happy to be back in this good Black History Month, 2022.
Yes, and strangely enough, it feels like Black History Month just whipped on by. But it was full of so much love and just spirit, every day. Even I noticed more being at my school, I noticed more Black history sidebar stories. So when I was teaching in Baltimore, every year I would teach my students, Hey Black Child. That's one of the most empowering poems you could teach any Black child. So this year I was trying to find a way to incorporate that also. So I made a visit to one of my partner's classes and I showed her a video of my kids in Baltimore reciting the poem. Because at first I was going to go in and recite it myself, but I said it would be even better if I showed them a group of Black kids reciting the poem, and then I taught them the poem and had them say the poem. And I mean, it filled my spirit so much. And I said, man, even though my community, I only have one Black kid in my class. We only have
Wow.
one kid in first grade, but I always make it my business to uplift her, whether it's through literature or whatever I need to do. And when I was reciting the poem to my class and showing them, I was looking directly in her eyes. It was
Yes.
powerful. It was powerful. So I
That's
just want to.
awesome.
Black History Month is more than just a month. It's what you put out into the universe every day. And we here at the Shero Plan stand on supporting Black girls and women in any way that we can. So if you are a supporter of any of our initiatives, we want you to join, we want you to like, we want you to share. We
Mm-hmm.
want you to look out for our donations coming in spring 2022. We have some grant making going on and we're ready to give, and more giving. So
Yes. I want to also say too, just with how important it is when we're saying join, like, comment, share, all those things help bump our analytics up, right? So we don't want to be at the bottom of anybody's timeline. So it really is important when we're asking you to join, like, share, comment, all those things. It helps us out with the algorithm. So appreciate you all for joining the live right now. I see we got some people joining in, so really excited to have you in. And like you said, just please continue to join, like, comment, share. And as far as the grant making goes, absolutely. Like we're ready to start giving out some funds for the money that we're collecting. So this year, be on the lookout for that.
yes, yes, yes. And speaking of Black History Month, we launched a Black History Month campaign. If you haven't had a chance to go on our page to look at it, we're highlighting some very poignant people in our history, shedding the light, more importantly, on just women who went out there to get their money. I think that's one important topic. We always talk about equity and people, women getting paid the money that they deserve, getting those opportunities that they want. And we see a lot of young people doing that now. It seems like every day a new name is popping up. So we definitely want to give a shout out to Trinity Rodman, who just got the most lucrative contract in women's soccer. What is it, about 1.2 million up until 2025?
Yeah, with that option to renew, which is really clutch, to again just invest in women. It's monumental, type contract for Trinity. She's also, I think, 19 years old, so the youngest, Black woman, that's pretty crucial for soccer, especially where you don't see a lot of representation of Black women in the sport. So we're excited to learn about that for sure.
Most definitely, most definitely. Along with the women's soccer team, finally winning a long battle that they've had in the course to get equal pay as men. And all my life growing up, really, women's soccer has been more, elevated than the men's soccer in the U.S. So I'm excited to see those contracts too. And I'm even noticing that they're going to do some back pay for some women who've already
Mm-hmm.
retired. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that money is distributed and seeing how that goes and seeing how it moves forward in the future for future athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Not one sport that you may not see a lot in our communities, but there's money there, there's opportunity there. So get your daughters out there playing soccer. They're paying.
Yeah, that they are. And I mean, like you said, globally, soccer is like, biggest sport in the world. So to have the US women's national team for soccer to step up, one, to even like have that lawsuit be brought to the table is so important. But then they won, like you said, on top of it, like 24 million, got the back pay. It's just it's something that is going to make the future athletes that much more better. And yeah, excited to learn about that. I think, the U.S. Soccer Federation is also making sure that they're highlighting girls of color in different initiatives that they're doing. So, keeping an eye out for that, just to make sure, like you said, we have more representation of Black girls playing too, in all avenues. So soccer
Indeed,
definitely still there.
indeed, indeed. Tell me about these podcasts, Monique. American Prodigies podcast. It's a lot of new buzz in the media with some of these podcasts going on. Can you tell me a little bit about this one?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just women in sports and media, Black women in sports. So, American Prodigies, new podcast that was produced by Blue Wire. I don't know I know we're big podcasters. We like to listen to all the new information out here. But this one is important because it highlights Black gymnasts. So, it's a whole series on the Black gymnast culture. I know we've talked a lot about like Dominique Dawes, and we're seeing a lot of the viral routines that are happening from everything from everybody from UCLA gymnastics, Florida gymnastics, some of those bigger programs. But to now have this series that was done by Mara Rose Davis, she's now one of our new followers. So thank you for following. But she's a part of the Burn It All Down podcast series. Takes a feminist kind of approach to sports, but they came together and created this series. And you can find it on any of your Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of the good stuff. But I just listened to the summary to start off, and it was just so rich with information, so many layers, just talking about, again, Black girls playing and participating in a sport that we don't normally see, but we're seeing it more. I'm just excited about it because, like I said, I remember the Dominique Dawes era. Obviously, Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, and there's a whole generation of Black gymnasts out here that are loving the sport, and we're putting our flavor to it. So just wanted to lift up American Prodigies for everybody to take a listen to.
American Prodigies, you got it? You got it, guys? If you listen already, give us a shout, let us know. Maybe tell us one of your favorite episodes and we can check it out.
Definitely, definitely. I'll just drop another podcast too. Don Staley, for those who don't know, head coach at South Carolina, here in the States. And, Don is just doing phenomenal things to elevate women's basketball, women's college basketball. And she's got Net Life, which is a amazing podcast series as well. I think you can find it on YouTube also. So that's another good one to check out. Bringing in different people, different industries. But I think her last episode, she even had Shero Swoops on there, along with Bruce about it. Yeah, like it's really good to have, again, that representation of us speaking up and out about issues that are important to us. So Don Staley, Net Life, check that one out too.
All right, Net Life and American Prodigies. So today is a super special day. We have a
Mm-hmm.
special that's going to join us today. She is the owner and operator of Brown and Healthy based in Baltimore, Maryland. Her name is Michelle Nelson. I had a chance to meet her. I'm sure she probably doesn't remember. I mean, I think it was about 10, 15 years ago before I left Baltimore. She had an event at, what's the name of that cafe? I'm sure she's going to remember the name of the cafe. In West Baltimore, Dove
Okay.
Cove. Dove
Oh,
Cove. Yes, yes, yes. And I love that venue too because it was a hub for Black creators. So I really enjoyed that venue and I got a chance to meet her. And I also got a chance to see and hear some of her poetry and just to see, her evolution from afar. She may not know, but you never know who's watching you. And she's always been a person in Baltimore that inspired me to be creative and to, live my life my way, brown and healthy. So I'm definitely
yeah.
looking to introducing her to our Shero world. What about you, Mo?
Okay. Yeah, now let's see if she's already watching or requesting to join. Let's see if we can get her in here, and we'll do a quick bio, and I can read that directly from her website and give her some shine here
Yeah,
on.
I just sent her the request to join.
Let's
There.
see, Michelle.
Hey,
Hey,
good morning.
yes. Good morning. Let's tell us where in the world you are, because we know Baltimore connects and hometown, but tell us where you are in the world right now.
So one, thank you for having me. This is exciting. I was tuned in and watching you all talk about what the Shero Plan is doing, and it's just really cool to see two Black women talking about sports and deals and all of that. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna tune in.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, sure.
Look, so I am currently located in Oakland, California. Well, Alameda, just outside of Oakland.
Oh, wow.
We're not wrong. Brown is Baltimore based, and we are doing a lot of like bi-coastal work as well. So
For sure. Good stuff. Now, I had to let you go ahead and plug where you are because I know you're global, but you know, it's good to know we spreading roots even outside of our hometowns. And for sure, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit because I'm going to read your bio directly from your website.
oh
Yeah, not, but I'm going to tell you, I love your website too. One of those first images is like you with all these hats, and
yeah,
it's like so powerful because it's a great image. I know that you've done a number of different things in your work and in your life, and just who we are as like full people. So I just wanted to shout that out. Great website, many hats. I get it. Um, yeah. So Michelle,
tell
go
them
ahead.
how long we've known each other.
I have not done that yet. So
Oh,
here's the thing. So Michelle and I have known. It's been like 20 years at this point. Yeah, so Michelle and I both went to Coppin State. Yeah, we both went to Coppin State University, CSU, HBC love. But yeah, Michelle was in a leadership position as soon as I stepped on campus. Like first person I saw when I'm checking in as a freshman, Michelle, like resident director, Michelle was right there, and just your energy that exuded. It's literally, I'm not exactly soon as I stepped off the elevator with my mom and my sister to move into the dorms, I could just feel your presence. Like, again, just being a leader, and great that know people in high places when you first get on campus, right? So yes, I wanted to big you up on that note. But Michelle, also known as Love the Poet. She is a host, organizer, artist, innovator, and cutting edge thinker who bridges community, creative practice, and equity, exposing the voices of the unheard and the underrepresented. She is also a NASM certified personal trainer and the founder of Brown and Healthy, which is a global initiative focused on community engagement, strategic design, and wellness curation for people of color. Love that. So as a multifaceted career creative, she has appeared on CNN Live, CBS, Fox 45 television, and she's moderated a number of thought-provoking panels for Afropunk and labs at Light City. And she's also been featured in Forbes magazine for a lot of her social justice work. So just incredibly excited. It's funny, one thing you didn't put in your bio is that you were a track athlete. So I know that. So I'm going to give that privilege and just share. Yes, like track athlete.
Yeah.
So
D1 MEAC, you know,
yes,
that's a
D1.
big deal.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, man, I like all of that. Obviously, your bio packed with so much information, but also being a track athlete too. I just want to give you the floor to just share like some of your journey from, how you got to this place right now, but also having that like sport background too. So how does that tie together?
Well, great question. It's so interesting to hear my bio. Um, it was good. It summed it up. So I'm like, okay, do I need to say anything? No, yes, I do. This is a great question because I did not mention that in my bio. And honestly, it was, and you get to a point, and I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm 41 years old. So when you get to a point where you've been in this for decades, some things you think, just kind of trail off, but they're really important.
Yeah.
Who you are. And one thing my track coaches used to say is track is 99.9% mental. And they would say that because although it is technically a group sport, which a lot of people don't understand, it is a team sport. So when you go as a team to a track meet and you win a race or you place in a race, you're getting points on board the overall team winning the meet. So a lot of people don't understand that. I think it's very individualistic, and it isn't. It's basically one unit, several movable parts, right? So, but it's 99.9% mental because a lot of times you're racing your time. As a sprinter, you're racing yourself. And you're trying, I mean, if your mindset says you can't make it to the finish line, you will not make it to the finish line. So you're training your mind. This is a huge self-discipline practice.
Yes.
And so it definitely laid a huge like pathway for me. I started out like I wanted to play basketball in high school. That was my first love, like basketball, period. That's it. Daddy taught me how to shoot a basketball when I was big enough to hold one. Yeah. Right. So that was it, and I got to see my first quarter in high school. And my mom said, well, looks like you won't be trying out for basketball next quarter because you can't be getting C's. Like that's just not that's not okay. Right. So I wasn't able to try out. And then in a ROTC class, they had us race everybody, in the physical fitness test or whatever. You race all the girls, and then you go on and race the winner of the next platoon and all of that. So I raced and I won. And they were like, and I had to race the winner in the other platoon. And I'm afraid I knew no one. I had no idea who was who. So so I raced the winner of the other platoon and I beat her. Okay. They said, do you know what you just did? Do you know who you just beat? And I was like, yeah, such and such. And they were like, no, that's the fastest girl in school. And I looked at them and I said, not anymore. Hey. And, I've always been me, right? So I said that, and then that was it. I was on varsity straight through senior year. By the time I graduated, I was captain of the track team, all county, had traveled to nationals, did all these things. And then I got recruited to run for Coppin. Yeah. And once I got to that level, it was different. You're a smaller fish in a bigger pond and all those things. But what I would say is track mentally prepared me and physically prepared me. Like my body has a muscle memory that is like out of this world just because the immense training. I mean, the two-a-days, the high carb diet, all of the things that you have to do. They say fat is burning, carbohydrates flame. So like I was just a big ass flame, walking every day. Yeah. So that translates now, like when I get stressed, when I feel anxiety when I go through all these things, I have to remember. And like I said earlier, you know, you get removed from things the older you get. You know, I have to consciously remember those tenets and those things physically, even down to the stretching routines and things like that, to get me back to feeling like myself again, to make me feel. A lot of times wellness, health and wellness, especially with the idea of brown and healthy, my sister and I were just trying to get healthy, and I was like a hashtagging, and like maybe my friend Maria would go hiking and all of that, and I would hashtag brown and healthy, and people are like, what's that? Da, 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 da. And when a friend of mine, I was like, well, let me think about it. So I tested out that logo that's there on Mo's shirt and on my chest here. And I saw it and I said, oh, this has to be something. This has to, like, I have to go beyond the stages. I have to build this initiative because, you know, we have to remember to tune in to our bodies and ourselves. And one of the biggest reasons was when you hashtag health, wellness, and fitness, you didn't see, and this is 2015, 2016, you didn't see people that look like us. And if you did, it looked highly unattainable. And it didn't look real, you know? And so I was like, okay, let me take all of these things that I know about health and wellness and fitness, all of these things that are ingrained in me, and use my platform that I built from my poetry and curating events and traveling all over the world touring, and see what I can do with that.
Sure. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Like the story, right? Like all of those little nuggets, there's so much in that. That was really, really rich. First and foremost, you said put some respect on my name. That's what I back in the day. It's like, you know, I know my power, you know, and I'm gonna step into that now. So I love that that's what sports gave you at that moment, like being a freshman in high school to now project you into where you are today. Like that's phenomenal. And like you said, remembering all of that too. That muscle memory is something else. Like that's I know, Danielle, you were just telling me that you're looking at playing some ball now. We're getting older, but you know, you still got it. So why not keep doing it?
I'm and I'm realizing, all I need is my stamina back. You know, I know exactly what to do. I have the game, and now I'm more wise than I was back then. So I have an extra element to bring to the game. So like you said, that muscle memory and just that undeniable discipline you have to really zone in when you're playing sports. And I teach my girls that all the time. Like this year, you know, unfortunately we didn't have any basketball games to play, but I coached, they came to practice every day. They were still committed to coming in and putting that work. So I told them, you know, this season was about you really coming in and learning the discipline on. Sometimes you may have to go somewhere and work hard and do something, and you may not get what you initially wanted out of it. And that's one of the life lessons that sports will teach you. It will teach you that dedication. It will teach you how to continue to work hard and commit to something. And before you know it, you know, you might have your own business like Brown and Healthy because you learn all of those, you know, intrinsic things that you need as an adult. You know, it's really not about the sports. And Mo and I were talking earlier about how sports is just a connector to creating a sustainable future for yourself. Whether you go play pros or whatever you decide to do, you know, using the tools that you get from sports is definitely what has elevated me to be where I am, and both of you. So I'm curious though, Michelle, how did you find that creative side? Were you always a poet when you were playing sports? Were you always a poet when you were young? Such a creator. I'm wondering, when did that come into play for you?
So I started writing. Thanks for the question and for summing that up. And I want to touch on one thing you said: the strength, the wisdom. Right? I wish I had the fortitude and the maturity and the mindset that I had today when I was running in college. I would have done what Patrick Bailey, Big Bailey, as we would call him, who was the director of housing and the track coach. And let me just say, may he rest in peace. What would say? He said, you could be an Olympic athlete. He trained Olympians. And I would have been that if I had the mindset I had today. but I was nowhere near that. But I just wanted to touch on that. Like I wish I had this strength. I feel like I can move a million mountains now.
Yeah.
And I'm older. You know what I'm saying? Then I didn't feel that way about myself, right? Mentally. But the poetry came in when I was 11. So it precedes, well, no, I was always an athlete. So
yeah.
You know, my dad was an athlete, my mom was an athlete, you know, like they would take us to tennis courts when we were little kids, you know, and they play night tennis and we play on the playground stuff. They modeled really excellent behaviors for us. We go biking every weekend and stuff. So I was always an athlete. But I started writing poetry when I was about 11. My father was a functioning alcoholic for a little while, for quite a while, and beautiful man, just had a dependency. And my counselor in the I believe it was the 6th grade realized that there were a number of us in school. I went to Mayfield Woods Middle School in Columbia, Maryland, and she realized that there were a number of young people on her docket who had this issue. So she started a group. So I started group therapy when I was 11. Not fully understanding that that's what I was doing, but I wanted to have, you know, be in a circle group with some classmates who were going through the same thing. And I knew some of them, right? Firsthand, they were my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so we agreed and we got a part of it. And so she told us to journal, right? And in my house, my mother made it very clear that if I had a diary, she would read it. Okay. So my mom didn't, you know, she was very upfront about things. If my sister and I had diaries, she would read them. And so I was like, I don't know about this. Like mom's is going, you know, she gets, like, I hope let's get the marble one, you know, let's not crazy. So it looks like homework, right? So my mom, and rightfully so. I mean, she's a mom. She's like, you know, she's got girls. She's concerned. I mean, it was old school. This old school stuff, y'all.
Back then we didn't understand. And we didn't understand. But now we would do the same for our kids.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm talking to, you know, seeing some of the comments. I'm like, yo, this is not 2022. This is 1990. So right. And so my mom couldn't look at my social media or nothing. She had to dig somehow. So anyway, when she gave us the journals, when I started writing, the only thing that came out was poems, and I didn't even know, honestly, right? And I was like, oh wow. So I couldn't just, for some reason, I couldn't articulate my feelings outside of it being art or poetic, right? And then it got to a point where I recognized that there was something to this, and I would let my mom like read some of them and stuff. And she was always so honest, and she told me like, you're very good, you know? And so I started to like add it to book reports and presentations to get the plus, the A and the plus, you know? So I just started like, I realized it was a gift, you know? And once my friends caught wind of it, they would like ask me to write little poems to the girl that they like, or the boy that they like, or the thing, you know? So that's when I started writing, and it evolved when I got to Coppin, because I had never spoken word before until Danielle Fuller and David Ross were on stage. And mind you, this is 1999. They're on stage performing these poems. And I'm like, what is this? And David, his native son, Danielle is Smiley, but I bum rushed them at the end of the event. I was just like, you don't know me, I don't know you, I'm a freshman, I know, but how do you do that? Like, I write poems, how do you do that? And so they said, and the rest is history.
No, I love that. Danielle and I talk a lot about just having an outlet as you know, student athletes, as an athlete, any person, you know, but specifically as an athlete, because a lot of times that identity gets so ingrained in you that you're only an athlete, and you have to find those other ways. So I'm really glad you had the counselor, you know, through school to help guide you to a way that you can get those emotions out. And then it evolved, right, into this beautiful creative form. And I remember like always having passions of art, but like, how do I do this? I started out like as a musician before I was doing basketball. I was playing a piano, playing a trombone, playing a flute. And I always had this love for art, but I didn't know what it looked like. So I know when I got to Coppin and you were doing your spoken word thing, I was like, man, this is powerful, you know, to be able to get on stage and express yourself that way. And, you know, everything that you've done with your poetry since that time is just amazing. So I've enjoyed watching your journey when it comes to art as well. So thank you for just continuing to invest in yourself in that way. And all of your words are touching people. Trust.
Oh, thank
you. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, man. That's a beautiful.
And it sounds like you never hesitated to, you know, step into something that you enjoy. You know, you running track just in ROTC, you tried it out. Like, so it seems like everything that kind of put a spark in you, you tried it out and it took you somewhere, elevated you to the next place. Even track, you know, elevating you to doing the brown and healthy, working out and things like that. I mean, that's what Black people need to hear. It's not about being famous or making millions of dollars or being the greatest. It's about taking what sparks you and doing it and trying it out and some energy behind it.
And what's awesome about what you just said is all of that is will subsequently come if you will be presented opportunities to take that path. If you continue, not saying you have to take it, but if you continue to do the things that spark joy in you, that you find that you are good at, that you feel passionate about, then ultimately, and there's a lot of it, and this word has been coming up a lot this week in my world, is the word consistent. If you are consistent at almost anything, the opportunities will show their face. They will come. And one thing I like to say is I am like the living embodiment of the third option. Right? In the world, like I worked with at-risk youth and special needs and transitioned into special needs kids in my 20s and early 30s. And I have a degree in criminal justice, so I decided to go to the rehabilitation route and work as a resource counselor, behavioral specialist, and so on. And so one thing that you get trained on is providing two options, right? Both options work for you as the counselor or the teacher, but you present those options to the young person who's doing something that behaviorally that is not necessarily what they need to be doing in that moment, right? But it gives them the illusion of choice. Both options work for you, right? You can either sit down or leave the class. Both work for you. But the student an option.
Strategy. I was like, do you want to do the work with me or do you want to do it with your friends?
There you go. Either way, that's for you, right? So that's the same way the world works for us as adults, and we don't really see it, right? Because, you know, and we're seeing a lot of these constructs kind of get tested right now in a lot of different ways. I mean, pandemic, quarantine, war, all of these things are happening, and we're watching how people respond to these options, these things that are going on, right? Social media does it. They offer you this option or that option. And it's all about how you decide to remix that thing, right? So for me, I feel like I'm the living embodiment of the third option because I have always felt like I had to go my own route.
Yes.
My own way. It might be a mixture of both the options. It might have nothing to do with either of those options. And I have no idea where it's going to lead. But I've had to because I'm Black, I'm woman, and I'm gay. You know, people used to ask me, like, is your poetry political? And I would say everything I say. When I wake up in the morning, like my very existence is political because they have politicized it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Every day I wake up, we wake up, somebody wants to take us out for one of those three things. So I have no choice but to fight through the misogyny of the underground arts world, the your message doesn't resonate with our audiences because it's hetero centered or or the oh, you just a small woman, you know, oh, don't worry about her, she just, you know, I'm only 5'2", you know, like I'm small, you
Yeah.
know, the eyes of people, but in my body I feel like I'm a great big old giant.
Oh, for sure.
You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? And so when you are big like that in your energy and in your thoughts and your process, you kind of have to just kind of like walk your own path, like, you know, step
Mm-hmm.
on all the paths, right? So yeah, I feel like that has been um a lot of my journey, and that is why when I see things, when I vision things, I recognize that if it is something that speaks to me, it's likely that something that's speaking to a lot of people who haven't been heard.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, that's why, you know, I know when I first started seeing Brown and Healthy, you know, seeing you hashtagging it, then when the logo came, I'm like, man, this is a movement because to your point, just existing is revolutionary. Like just being, but let's not, you know, take away from the fact that that takes courage too, you know, and so having the community of people to come together to make sure that it continues to move forward, I think is also so critical, you know, to make sure that we're doing that, because it's a declarative statement. I'm brown and healthy now. Like, wait, you know,
and
how,
and and to that point, this brings up the naming of it, right? Like going with that route, because I'm super militant. Like I'm, you know, hands down. Dad used to call me, you know, Little Angela Davis and militant midget. That's what my dad. And and so I mean it when I say it. Let me be very.
Yeah.
And so I had other options. And this is around the time, you know, all the police brutality and the killings and all of those things. And I'm mad, you know,
yeah,
mad, hurt inside. And I started to think about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in the direction of brown and healthy, because if we are at war as Black people in this country, then we need to be prepared for it. Our bodies prepared for it. And if somebody sees something like brown and healthy and scrunches their face up at it and has an issue, then it's very clear where you lie, because that's proactive, that's healthy, that's happiness, that's,
yes,
you know, that's Black power in a way that people can't even understand, down to the name and using and reclaiming the word brown.
yes,
To be very honest, I mean it does encompass people of color, but I'm being very focused on Black people specifically, you know,
mm-hmm.
of African descent. However you identify after that is your business,
Yeah,
but of African descent is a real thing. And
yeah,
James Brown says, "Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. Say it again,
huh.
I'm in." Your eyes do not deceive you.
Yeah.
Yes.
These names and these labels, the word Black is far more than just it does not determine who we are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's political,
Yep.
that's classist, but we
Mm-hmm.
have another conversation to go down, because you know I go there. But brown is the mission statement is change the narrative, change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our tenets is when we come and curate a wellness experience, or if we're in your space at the summit or the festival or what have you, or if it's just the virtual classes that we're doing with Kaiser Permanente, the person that's doing it is a person of African descent,
Mm-hmm.
because the narrative needs to change around that. And one of the biggest things that we want to do moving forward, and this is one of the reasons why I got my certified personal trainer certificate from NASM, is we want to bridge the inequities and the disparities in Black personal trainers that exist. If you look at the numbers, recently this study was done, it was like 130,000 certified personal trainers. So to be clear, you don't have to be certified to personal train. There's no
Right.
governing, no overarching governing body, right? But it's better that you are, so you don't like hurt people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are these companies like NASM who are internationally renowned, and I mean the curriculum is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's 130,000 personal trainers certified in the country, and of them 73% are white,
Mm.
8% Black, and the rest are Asian, Hispanic, others. And so what
Hmm.
that means is, one, if you ever look at the pricing for these exams across the board in any of these organizations, it is extraordinarily high.
Yeah.
And we have been historically priced out of so many things. This is no different.
Yep.
So I would like I've worked on this idea for a number of years now, but I want to bring it forward, and which is the trainer residency program,
Okay.
where I find a way to get I get partnerships and funding to subsidize the cost of the exams for Black fitness professionals who want to become certified personal trainers, and then help them get through the test. I took the test. I studied for 7 months. I took the test on the first time. I passed it, which I heard was really hard to do. But I had nothing else to do. Was the pandemic, the quarantine. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this so that I can ultimately uh, bolster this curriculum that I've already created, and actually be able to walk the walk and talk the talk, and know exactly what's going on. So
Yeah.
that's I know one of the things you asked me before, Mo, was like future casting, like what's the plan. So hopefully to really get that off and going. And also that speaks to the narrative. You know, one of the things, once I became a trainer, they did an all call for people who wanted to tell their story about becoming a trainer. They picked 2 of us.
Okay.
I shot it, you know, and then when they saw me, they were like, can you also be in this clip and this clip and this clip? And I was like, okay.
And
And
like you said, the opportunities began
yeah,
to open up because you were going in the direction,
yeah.
on fire.
Yeah, and I tried it. You know, I saw the all call. They only picked 2 people. They picked me and they picked another person.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be it. They were like, no. And what's crazy is when I first started the studying, I looked at the book and I was like, man, it's hella white.
Need some brown and healthy in that book.
Yeah.
Now, like they're releasing, and so then they called me back to do another commercial, and so now they're releasing commercials, and I'm a Black body, a Black woman, with locks, one of the Black bodies in the space. You know what I'm saying? And so just walking the walk is really important. And like I can't ask you, and a key tenet of leadership is I can't ask you to do something I won't do myself, or I haven't done myself.
Sure. Sure.
So yes, so all of that said, it's a great big old vision, but I mean, to the baseline of it is we provide health and wellness services curated for and by people of African descent, and also for everyone else. Like we'll teach a class full of people who are purple. It does not matter, but the people who show up are us.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. And I thank you for sharing, the direction that you want to take Brown. That's a phenomenal need. And we talk a lot about that as well. Some of those barriers that prevent Black people from getting into health and wellness spaces, sports spaces. And economics is one of them for sure. Like it's one of the factors that prevents us for a number of reasons as well. But I think calling it out and then doing something different to kind of provide that solution is really the place that we're at as well. So, again, just thank you for what you're doing with Brown and Healthy for sure. And we want to help support like what you're doing, especially when it comes to those trainers and getting more people in the industry. I can share, I was in Durham this past week and there was kicking off a project for work, and my organization, Kaboom, we build playgrounds for kids. So I know I'd share a little bit with you, Michelle, too. But one of the girls who showed up from the community, she was drawing her dream playground. And I asked her what else she does. And she told me she ran track. She's in middle school, 8th grade. And she told me that she didn't want to continue running in middle school because the coach was weird. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean weird? And she said, well, I don't know. I just feel like he should be coaching the boys and we need a woman to coach the girls. She told me this straight up. And I'm like, you know this because we say it all the time. You can't be who you don't see. And that is a barrier for her. She doesn't see a woman. She doesn't have a Black woman that can lead her into her passions. She
Wow.
wants to do hurdles, I think she told me something weird. Also, he said like girls need to be wearing skirts running track. And I'm like, what? She's an 8th grader. Tell her.
Somebody needs a coach.
Man, listen. I said, what school is that? Where are you headed to next year? Okay. And in that quick moment, I had the opportunity to say, yeah, that's probably someone you want to stay away from.
Yeah.
And, get to a safe, space with a coach who can invest in you. But those are the types of stories that are happening probably much more often than what we can hear or see, and we can't allow that to be a barrier. Like, we have to train ourselves to be in that position to now give back, you know. So yeah, that definitely broke my little heart, like hearing her say that, because she could be the next Olympian as well. But
Sure. And we know the statistics of girls just dropping out of sports for small reasons like that. You
yep.
know, definitely got to keep these young girls in our favor. Do you work, Michelle, with a youth population as well?
At one point, I did. I mean, heavily, just in general. It was my entire career. Like I said, at-risk youth, special needs kids. It was everything. And then when Brown and Healthy, when it initially began, we launched a program called Brown and Healthy Kids. And what we did was we went into schools in Baltimore, and we, instructed them around play. We instructed them around like fitness. We would do little boot camps and little fun games and stuff like that with them. But the overarching idea around narrative change was we would also have one or two of them like taking pictures and stuff like that, and then we would teach them. This was at the height of like memes. Like, memes were like new. This is like 16, and people were like, oh, meme this, meme that. That's how people were communicating their feelings and thoughts. And so I was like, we'll teach them how to make memes and in Canva or whatever platform, and then they can put those on their social media platforms, and then their communities will start to see that this is what they're saying about the work that they're doing. We also had a partnership with the Baltimore City Health Department, and we put up like around healthy corner stores, and it was like we would in front of corner stores with young people. We had teenagers doing this with us, giving people healthy options to like the chips or the sodas, and having them try them and talk to them about the nutrition content in those things. So I have worked with young people, yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Oh man, wow! I feel like we can talk to you all day, Michelle.
Yeah, for real.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah. Well, just keeping it up kind of in this sports space too, and rec and health and wellness. And I also just want to note that as we're talking about physical health, like emotional, mental health, like all of those things are important components to being holistically well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they all go in tandem. But I'm curious, like which women in sports, in the women in sports space, like who really inspire you?
Well, first and foremost, I got to give up the props to the good sister Serena Williams, who is my age, and 40 and rising, and still epically amazing. Fortunately, got to grow up watching her do that. So that's, and then I just watched King Richard. So there, hands down, so good. So
I like it too, for sure.
all right. Oh, so good. So gotta start there, and then I would say Simone Biles is really inspiring, specifically around like when she was like, no, I'm not feeling it. I need to like take a step back. I think a lot of times, I could name names and not have instances where they specifically inspired me, but when you told me that, like, I knew that this question was like coming, so I was like, okay. Let me think about this deeply. Let me think about who inspires me, not just because they are black in a black woman's body doing these amazing things, but what have they done? Simone does moves that, which they have done before historically. And you named some of those names earlier in gymnastics.
Sure.
If you're black and you can do these moves, they'll ban them.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, yeah. Like,
yes.
Yeah. And guess what? We're going to figure something else to do.
Yeah.
And of course we need to, that's ridiculous, but we need to understand what that is. So
yeah.
The other night, it's a short little anecdote. The other night I was walking out of an event in San Francisco, and there were two white, clearly inebriated, older white couple walking, and they're talking so loudly. It's just us in this walkway, and they're like, Joe Rogan is getting canceled because he said the N-word 12 years ago. And prior to this, he says, he says, I'm so sick of the Democratic cancel culture, da 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 da, and then he goes into this, right? And he says, I don't understand why. And so in my head, I thought, do I have time for this? This whole thought process, do I have time?
Yes.
And then I realized, before I knew it, I had time.
Of course.
I made time. So I gingerly turned backwards because they were a little bit behind me. And I said, it's because the word is despicable. It's a terrible word.
Period.
You're saying this loud enough. Look at me. Like, what? There's no misgivings, right? But the thing is, you're not self-aware. You can't be aware of other people. So I recognize that. But so we go down this thing. And the bottom line was, because the husband understood immediately. Like, he was like, well, why is that an issue? Da 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 da. And then the Karen on his arm, I later realized, was like, but why can't we say it if you can say it, and did it, like all of that, right? And
come on.
And I said, because you're white.
Nothing else. Pause.
And she was like, but no. I was like, no. And then I was trying to give her a little bit more, but then I was like, she just kept saying no. And at the end, I just looked at her. I was like, no, okay, then you all have a good night. And I just walked away. But the bottom line, the reason I'm telling this story is because the issue white people have is being told they cannot do something because they are white.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes into this conversation around these moves and stuff being banned. A lot of these things physically, and I'm not saying all white people cannot do them, but clearly they believe it's true. Because why would you ban it?
Right.
Like, you just outright banned it. That means you know something about the physiological makeup of humans and the things that we can and cannot do, and the things you can and cannot do. And this, the thought, I don't believe. And one of the things she said was, we're the same. I don't see, no difference. That we're the same. I said, no, we're not the same, and that's okay.
Yeah, indeed.
We're not the same, sis. We not the same cloth. We not the same at all. And I don't believe that racial, like, the whole, like, the racial inferiority myth, like, or I just believe it's backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're inferior to you, and the proof is in the pudding, because when we show up, these things like Simone Biles does, you ban them. Because it terrifies you, because you don't think, because in all this history before we showed up, y'all didn't do none of that.
Right.
And here we go. So she inspires me. Naomi Osaka inspires me specifically because she put everything down. Sis said, I don't want to do your interviews. Not what I'm here for.
Right.
It's in the contract. Right? Like, I'm tired and I don't like to do this part. So we need to reframe, right? And then she's just enormously talented, and I love the way that they carry it on the court. When she plays Serena and all that stuff, I think she's wildly inspiring. And then lastly, I would say I just read about Jennifer King.
Yes.
Coach of the Washington. I hate this name.
Commander, whatever.
Oh, how do you like
Commanders?
How are you that tone deaf? So
you change one name to a worse.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Like, where are we?
Yeah.
I mean, like, things like that made me say I hate this place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jennifer's definitely a friend.
Oh, you know her?
Yeah, we do.
Because that's crazy. Yeah.
Sure. We've spent some time with her, and we're hoping to get her on the live here pretty soon. But yeah, Jennifer's great people, and like you said, just inspiring, doing what she's doing, breaking the barriers, in the NFL. Another whole topic that I'm sure as well. But it's good to know.
Just defending them though. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah. Well, this is gonna.
Craziness going on.
What happened?
No, I thought it paused. No, it's hard to watch football now with all the politics behind it. I can't even enjoy the sport.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Definitely is. This is going to lead us into a segment that we like to do called buzzer beaters. Now, this is a surprise. I know. Look at your face. This is a surprise. We like to do it and hit it with the guests. So it's top of mind.
Okay.
you know, you gave us some of the Black women in sports who inspire you, past, present, you know, all those good things. But this segment, again, quick thinking. We just want you to run it off. All right. So we're gonna just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's not gonna
So
be. Don't worry. It's not gonna
no stress. No stress.
be
All right.
fun.
So 5 people that you would invite to your cookout, alive or they could be an ancestor. It doesn't have to be sport related, but 5 people you would invite to your cookout.
Muhammad Ali. I just saw something on Pay LaBelle. Pay LaBelle.
Yes.
My dad, my stepdad, and my sister.
Hey, all right. That sounds like a good time. Patty LaBelle gonna come through, kick her shoes off, bring some patty pies. Everybody good.
Yeah, man. That's a good look.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna do 4. It could be books, movies, songs, 4 pieces of media that you're listening to, reading, or watching right now.
Reading, just finished Will Smith on to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Those are my 2 books. Watching any and everything Marvel.
Okay.
And other thing, listening to music, a lot of Adele.
Okay.
Honest, that album's hitting.
Okay.
Oh, Jasmine Sullivan's extended version of Hotels.
Come on.
Because come on, how do you keep adding to that? How do you keep adding? Because, I mean, come on. She even has a bow tail on there. I mean,
yes.
I sat online trying to get tickets for her concert for like an hour and a half when they dropped on Ticketmaster. Still haven't gotten them. And also, let's do a quick prayer for her because she has COVID right now. So she's on tours. And yeah, let's just lift her up, man, because we need Jasmine to get well. No more vocals. Bless you, sis. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta pray for them vocals, sis, because we gotta, you know.
Yeah.
Now, and what's crazy is 2-3 years ago, it would have been nothing to get them tickets. When she came back, she hit us with the 2-piece. She R&B.
I'm here for it.
She 2-piece and knocked us out. I was listening to the extended version, and it gave me Usher confession vibes. Right?
Okay.
Right? I mean, Usher's story was really honest in his vein, and it changed the game because nobody was ever that honest.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He just took it to like the 2020s version.
Yeah. I'm team Jasmine all day, every day as well. I love it. All right, let's do 3. We still count. So 3 fashion items in your rotation.
3 fashion items in my rotation. Always a hat.
Uh-huh.
I'm big on Ivy Park these days because Black women. I'll give you the top 3 right now. Ivy Park, all of it, love it. Savage Fenty, the onesie is important.
Okay.
I have 2 all the time. I don't care. My wife is crazy because I will wear that thing outside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Support. And then my favorite sneakers in this moment are Cardi B's Reebok Classic Remix. Favorite joints. They comfortable. They got a little heel on them because I like to feel like I'm not short. And so those are the 3 we're gonna shout out those powerhouse women right there: Cardi B, Beyonce, and Rihanna. And I want to say to anybody who's thinking, why are you supporting them? Because they got mad money. Because once I get mad money to still support me, and I think like I should be abandoned. And the women are dope.
Yes.
They're, and in my time, I was like, time, and you wouldn't see Black women having any kind of apparel with any partnerships like Adidas or Reebok or their own thing that they stood up. Fenty is Rihanna's last name, y'all. Get out.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on.
I love it. Cool. You got 2, Danny.
Okay, 2. What are 2 of your favorite places in the world?
How you gonna do me like that?
Come on.
Just two now.
All right. Okay. Italy.
Oh yes.
Italy, hands down. Specifically, I like Florence a lot.
Okay.
And currently Mexico.
Mexico
Big,
has been on everybody's radar right now.
big.
Yes.
I went to Mexico City in October-ish, and for the first time, that was amazing. I've been to different places, but then I just came back from Puerto Vallarta. That was cute. Sayulita is a nice little town outside of that. Very cute.
Yes. Yeah, and the people of color, the history in Mexico, that we could go down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
on.
I mean, brown privilege is beautiful in Mexico. If y'all thinking about going somewhere, they hook you up.
Yeah,
They hook you up.
yeah, I love that.
I'm
Oh,
planning to Italy this summer, so I'll definitely hit you up for that itinerary.
Oh,
Some suggestions you might have.
yeah. Oh, dang. It's only two. Never mind. I can't say it. Go ahead.
You can say it. You can say it. Go ahead. Now I want to know.
The south of France, Cannes. It's spelled Cannes, but it's pronounced
Yes.
Cannes. Please
Yes.
do that.
yeah,
Some vineyards there.
Huh? What's that?
Some vineyards there, huh?
yes.
Oh,
And Daddy,
we actually didn't even do the vineyards. We just were
Really?
down in the area, the shopping and the beaches and the
yeah.
ooh.
Well, Danny knows.
Say the people, because Paris, they Parisians are kind of snippy, but
And
South
Paris, my favorite. Paris wasn't my favorite.
South of France is a place, and let me just tell you how revolutionary it is for three Black women to be on a call talking about all these places around the world and knowing what you're talking about.
Yes,
That part.
indeed. And Danny, she threw out the vineyards because she knows I'm into wine pretty much.
Ah,
I'm trying to build my wine business right now, and
you
like to be able to put wine, food, and culture all together, like that's my next move.
definitely have to come out here though, because
Oh
the Napa and all of that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
holla.
you know it. I'm coming. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. All right, we're down to one. So one thing you would tell the Black female athlete today.
Don't allow your natural talent to make you lazy.
What? Say that again.
Don't allow your natural talent to make you lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I say that for context, I say that because it was that was definitely me at a certain point until my coach looked me in the eyes and told me I was lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And that's why I preface it with the natural talent part. He said, you are so good. You are so good, but you refuse to push yourself
Mm-hmm.
because you are lazy. And let me tell you something. That there sat with me and sits with, I still hear that in the back of my head every day I get up to run my business. Every day I get up to go into my office. And whenever I do anything that I need to do, I hear that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things come easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
They always have. But the hardest part is to push past that. And
Yeah.
because it's so easy to get on autopilot. It's so easy to get the kudos and the accomplishments and all that, and everybody love you just for waking up in the morning. But what if you just keep building those muscles and you keep doing that work? And when I say muscles, I'm not just talking about our physical muscles.
Sure.
Our going out and being social is a muscle. A lot of that atrophied because of COVID and the quarantine and stuff. But you'll go and build those muscles and see what you can do next. Push yourself to see past yourself.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Girl, that is a word. If I haven't heard a word all day.
Yeah, man. I like that.
But I'm gonna call two people after this and just tell them what you just said, because that people need to hear that. We get so complacent in, like you said, being who we are and being content with that. But man, just imagine the depths of what you could do. You push past that. Powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Indeed. And thank you for coming on. That was our buzzer beat. You made it. Yeah. Across the finish line.
did it. You did it.
Yes, yes. And no, seriously, like we really appreciate you jumping on and just giving us so many nuggets, things to continue thinking about and pushing ourselves in. And I'm going to challenge you to think about how track has continued to play a part in what you're doing, and continue to elevate that. It's a special time right now for us to keep doing that. And I know you are. I know, this conversation is gonna spark more in you. So just keep going forth and all of the great things that you're doing. And we're looking forward to continue to partner with you too and
Yeah,
support
for
all of what
sure.
you're doing.
For sure. Look out for the Brown and Healthy and the Shero Plan partnership in the world. Thank you, Danielle and Mo, for having me. Mo, I'm definitely going to add that tidbit to my bio. I hear you.
Got it. I
Uh,
Yes.
and yeah, I'm just glad to be here. I truly appreciate you.
Your
Thank you
thing.
so much. And we all will talk soon.
All
Yes.
right. Peace, everybody.
Peace.